Sometimes there are spectacular things that happen in sport, like the Blue Jays. And these things capture our attention, and they won't let go. This thing happened at the first home Olympic Winter Games in Calgary in 1988 at the Saddle Dome. Women's singles figure skating was billed to be a showdown between Katharina Witt of Germany and Debbie Thomas of the United States. But it was a Canadian who ended up dazzling at center ice. Ottawa's Elizabeth Manley stole the show. And she stole millions of hearts around the world. Many of us, most of us, will never forget her performance that night that was every bit as good as gold.
A double axel into the final spin. A perfect performance for Elizabeth Manley.
To watch her long program now, nearly 40 years later, is to spend 4 minutes lost in a swirl of pink perfection. And then the gasps, the clasped hands, the tears, the pure white Stetson. It was in Calgary in 1988. I've been having dreams of this night, Elizabeth Manley said, as the silvery scores came in, and a generation of young Canadian women followed her in that beautiful, elusive fantasy. Little Liz Manley, a soldier's daughter raised in Ottawa by a single mom, went from a schoolgirl wearing her brother's skates to an icon of Canadian sport. But no part of her journey was dreamlike, and no part of her heart was small. She was an Olympian in what seems like an ancient era when every calorie a woman carried was scrutinized, and every whisper of self-doubt was taken as evidence of certain failure. On that unforgettable evening in Calgary, and in a silver medal skate at the World Championships in Budapest that same year, Elizabeth Manley dethroned her cringing critics and enchanted many millions of fans, skating through barriers that, thanks to her, no longer stand. Wow, we were all watching that night, Liz. Here to present to our latest inductee, board member Olivier Junot, and our special guest at this evening's induction. He too created a little bit of magic at the Stampede City in 1988. World champion, two-time Olympic silver medalist, originally from Penetangwisheen, Ontario, the great Brian Orser, ladies and gentlemen.
Nice little surprise. Well, no, not as short as you. I wanted to do a special nod to my friends and family here from Penetangwisheen. Right? We won the World Championship in 1987, and I did and you guys did too. It was a big deal for Penetang, at the time a town of 5,000 people, so boy, it was fun to share all that. Now, about Liz Manley.
Be nice.
I'm always nice. We go way back. Did a lot of training together and competed together. But what stood out for me, especially in Calgary, and I think we can all remember that time, was the joyfulness that Liz brought to the moment. To watch it was as though she was skating only for the love of figure skating. And under that immense pressure, she skated as though she didn't have a care in the world. And it was then that she became Canada's sweetheart. Ladies and gentlemen, Liz Manley.
Wow. Okay. I talk a lot. Poor Vicky came up and she said, "Where's your speech?" I said, "I don't have speeches." So I first want to, the whole concept of being inducted into a Hall of Fame, especially Ontario Hall of Fame, it really puts things into perspective in your life. It makes you look back and remember really what you have accomplished. I think in this world today, we're so caught up in all the negativity and everything that's going on in the world, we forget about our accomplishments. And we forget about really who we are and what are we doing on this earth. And I personally want to thank Ontario Sports Hall of Fame, the board of directors, Mark, everybody, because you kind of brought me back down a little bit to really realize the length of my career. This is my very first year. 58 years I have been in skates. Don't ask me why heels hurt. I'm in skates every day for 58 years. This is my very first year that I'm actually not coaching figure skating. I am actually a hockey skating skills coach now. And I want to thank Vicki because I'm the skating skills coach for the Guelph Griffins University team. I now know your weakness. Just kidding. I have nothing to do with power plays, so don't worry. But it's, you know, it's very humbling. You know, my career, so many people know everything I've been through. It was an up and down career. It was resilience. It was trusting in that person that was inside me, to believe that no matter what the namesayers or people or the negativity or whatever was thrown at me, that I kept that love for what I was doing. And when you continue to love what you're doing, no matter if it's a sport, whatever it is, you can be successful. The odds may be completely against you, but you can seriously, you can be successful. And it, you know, my number one supporter my entire career was my mom. And, you know, when I lost my mom to ovarian cancer, it changed my life completely. I felt like I was being punished, or, you know, it was just very, very hard. And for years I kept thinking, where did I find the strength to get through my diagnosis of depression and mental health issues and everything? I mean, I was the pioneer athlete of Canada to come out with my depression. And sadly, when I came out with it, it was, you know, the stigma was at its highest still in the 80s. And I am so grateful that today I can stand here and I can talk about it, and you're all still in the room. So, you know, I've been listening to all the talks tonight. Congratulations to all the other inductees. I am so honored to be in this class. And, you know, one of the things that really hit home was about the paying back. And, you know, I have made it my mission in everything I do with sport, especially in figure skating and in hockey, is to pay it back in the mental health way. You know, I've had parents come up to me and say, you know, you had a 30-minute lesson with my child and you talked for the first 5 minutes and not sure what that was about. And so I told her, I said, in 5 minutes, your daughter unloaded so much stuff that's going on with her, between bullying in school, to the pressures of the sport, to everything. She cried for a few minutes. The work that I get out of her for the next 25 minutes is priceless. And that's where we need to be with sport today. We need to really embrace you know, you're hearing from some incredible athletes here tonight, and you know, it's a tough road. It really is. And you know, even if I remember my father when he was alive, he said, "Why would you ever write a book about mental health?" And I said, "If it helps one person, that's all that matters to me." And the interesting thing, thank you. The interesting thing about that night in Calgary, and I'd like to share this with you, is the facial expressions. Let's not talk about the blue eyeshadow, okay? All right? And the lipstick blush. All right? It was the 80s, okay? You know, all those expressions and everything that I went through, and everybody remembers that moment, it really had absolutely nothing to do with really winning the medal that night. It was about that I did it. I proved everybody wrong. And In my family, we call my silver medal a gold medal in life. And every single person can have one of those. And that's really, you know, the key thing about my medals. My medal's not even hanging up. It's in my underwear drawer. My underwear's clean, I promise. But, you know, there's just so much more. And I think if you ever had that ability to sit down with the Brian Horses, the Elizabeth Manleys, everybody that's been inducted tonight, I can't wait to meet Summer. What a great talk. There's a message there. But, you know, there's so much that goes on behind the scenes. And it's true. You know, there's no dinners. Everything revolves around you. I will share with you that when I became at the top of my sport, I lived with my mom. We were just mom and me, and my biggest supporter in life. She had an apartment in Ottawa, and I was training in Ottawa, and 2 weeks before every competition, she rented another apartment in the building, and she put me in it. She couldn't be around me. The worst. I was worse. I'm so surprised that I'm even standing here today in front of you, because I swear she was going to kill me sometimes. But anyways, it takes a village. It really does. It takes tremendous amount of support. And I am truly probably one of the most proudest people to wear that maple leaf and still wear it. And, you know, it's really being that mentor for our next generation. And that's really what my objective is in my life, is to be someone that, you know, a child can say, God, you know, she helped me so much, you know, she was, and not about the sport, but just as a person. And I want everyone to feel that comfort to come towards me and feel that they can just speak with me. And, you know, and I've changed my career so much. I went into life coaching, and, you know, we just had our incredible gymnasts on the stage, but I worked with the Ottawa Police for 2 years, and I was able to help them through things in emotional. And then I started realizing there's more out there for me, and it's 20-year-old boys in towels who forget to ask me questions after a hockey practice. And speaking with Vicky, it's like they come out of the locker room. You see how tall I am. And I have to look up at them and say, safe sport, do not look down. Safe sport, do not look down. Hardest job in the world. But it's like, we're so wired now, you know, we can't look this way, we can't say this, we can't do this. Man, we are so lucky there weren't cell phones and cameras in the 80s. Like, so one of the greatest things you've ever missed is Katarina Vitt, Debbie Thomas from the US, and myself in drug testing in Calgary. We could not pee to save our lives. We were still in our costumes, flowers and medals. They started to give up on us. And guess who the sponsor of the Calgary Olympics was? Labatt's. So there's this great picture of the three of us sitting on a couch with the lab coats behind us with the bottles waiting, and we're chugging Labatt's beer. That would have been the best Labatt's commercial ever. The best. So, but anyways, once again, I want to truly thank everybody. It was such a surprise to see Brian here. Scott, I love you. You're friggin' amazing. Brian Williams, miss you at the Keg. Used to see you every Friday night at the Keg. I now live in Collingwood, so I'm down in that area now. But the entire board of directors, you have been amazing through this whole process. I've been tough to get a hold of, so I do want to share with you that my best friend from 30 years ago is now my husband. And he is sitting in the room. David, give a wave. And I truly think, though, that he should probably get an award just for putting up with me. But he has been such a support. I've had a tremendous amount of loss in my life in the last 10 years. It's been a very difficult road for me to recover. And he has been at my side. He has been my support. He has been my biggest fan. And I love you with all my heart, and thank you. Thank you. So, because the Jays game's on, I promised my table I would cut this short. No, I'm just joking. But thank you, everyone. It is such an honor, and I hope you all have an amazing night here. Thank you.